Alright, so today I'm going to be YouTube reacting to how music became more relatable, the rise of bedroom pop. And I basically decided to react and talk about this video just because I was struck by the audacity of the title alone. Just that title basically implies that from the dawn of mankind to about 2010, that music really just wasn't that relatable, or at least it wasn't as relatable. Which is a very bold statement. So let's hop to it. Okay.
I often find myself gravitating towards songs that fall under a vague and misunderstood label, bedroom pop, the off-kilter result of the accessibility that has been granted to our generation, a tangible byproduct and poignant example of how drastically the internet has affected music in general.
Why is it poignant? Why is that a poignant example?
Independent music has been a rare phenomenon until recently. Outside of the mainstream genres of rock, pop, R&B, hip-hop, there have been many small, obscure subgenres. Typically, these subgenres will experience a short life. From cowpunk to Toy Town techno, there are...
I mean, yeah, cowpunk and Toy Town techno certainly experienced short lives as subgenres, but I mean, there are plenty of subgenres that have maintained a certain level of popularity ever since they started, and this level of popularity has been maintained over decades. For example, like psych rock, progressive rock, shoegaze, new wave. I mean, yeah, these genres have sort of waxed and waned in popularity, but I mean, yeah, if you're using cowpunk and Toy Town techno, whatever those are, as examples of oh, these subgenres, they're so fleeting. Yeah, we're gonna agree with that, but one could argue that subgenres are basically the only genres that exist, and that these umbrella terms don't really capture the nature of the music in general. So
from the ether-worldly reverb with punchy offbeat synth leads and shoegaze, but because of its inherently grassroots nature, the genre has an unmistakably diverse cast of characters. Content promotion algorithms on a multitude of streaming websites were instrumental in the promotion and popularization of bedroom pop, and where many artists like Clairo got their big break.
So, I mean, just using that example, you could argue that it's not necessarily grassroots if a content promoting algorithm is making her become popular, helping her with popularity. I mean, that's sort of the opposite of grassroots.
Her songs gained enough traction for Spotify to curate a playlist, which began to spotlight similar artists to Clairo. The playlist became known as bedroom pop.
Once again, this is not grassroots. Spotify recommending to you the music that they've curated for you, which is how I find most of my music. That's not really grassroots. But yeah.
A defining label for new wave musicians.
Like the genre new wave? Like the subgenre of rock new wave? Or just the new wave of... Fuck, whatever. Just keep going.
In order to better understand bedroom pop's meteoric rise into popularity...
Come on, man. Murderer. I don't want to roast this man, but just do another take. I stumble over words all the time when I'm recording. And so I just splice it in, so I just say meteoric. I don't keep in the take where I say murderoric.
It's important to understand the artists that compose the genre.
He sounds like that dude from Hot Dr. Pepper, the kid, but he's an adult now.
In order to better understand bedroom pop's meteoric rise,
here's some advertisements from the 1960s showing about Hot Dr. Pepper.
The first character that sticks out of the scene is Still Woozy. Music comprised of uniquely high-pitched and wary vocals, an abundance of bouncy,
uniquely high-pitched falsetto. I like falsetto. I use falsetto. I listen to falsetto. It is not unique. Maybe he implements it in a unique manner. Maybe you could say that. But just saying his uniquely high-pitched vocals, what? Come on, dude. Come on.
and distortedly blurred guitar use.
What is distorted? What is distortedly blurred guitar use? Okay. All right.
crafted by himself in his quaint little garage. His music videos sport an easygoing and simplistic time with his friends.
I've never heard someone try so hard to sound eloquent and just end up sounding like they're from another planet.
He has refined his production style, while at the same time remaining faithful to his grassroots genre blending sound.
Okay, you keep on using grassroots, and I want to know how you define grassroots. I want to know how you define most of the words that you're using.
Gatekeeping from music industry elites has been practically circumvented because of...
I mean, kind of? It's not circumvented by the industry entirely if you're finding them through Spotify. It's not really clear in this video what bedroom pop is, and the way you're defining bedroom pop is the way that Spotify defines bedroom pop, which is the collection of artists that they have sort of handpicked for everyone to consume, which, I mean, is fine because I like Steve Lacy and I like Rex.
Because of this, musical artists in the bedroom pop crowd have been making music that is authentically their own sound. Gone are the days where artists had to play by the books and make bland, inoffensive music to get a substantial following.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but like, no. Okay, so this is basically what you're saying, that thanks to bedroom pop, the artists can create whatever type of music that they want and reach the masses without the hindrance of corporate entities. But what if they don't want to make bedroom pop? What if they don't want to make something that sounds remotely like any of the artists that you've talked about, anything like Rex or like Mac or whatever? And B, don't you think that the gatekeepers that you're referring to have had a hand in selecting what artists with a bedroom pop sound become famous? I mean, you're basing your taste off a Spotify playlist. There are certainly examples of artists in the past that do exactly what you said, where they wanted to make it as bland as possible, that as inoffensive as possible, and could reach the largest amount of people because it is as inoffensive as possible. But I mean, that's still happening today. I mean, you could argue that that's happening in bedroom pop, depending on the artist. They're sort of adhering to certain aesthetics, the aesthetics that you've talked about in this video, the DIY production, the sort of laid back aesthetic. They're hanging out with their friends. They're using, chorus on their guitar. They're using some echo, some reverb. It sounds dreamy. It sounds like you're at the beach. I like it and it sounds good, but those are aesthetics that they're adhering to.
Major streaming services like Spotify, SoundCloud, Bandcamp, and YouTube cut out the middleman, allowing artists to push boundaries and even make a living by catering to these small niche musical demographics.
I mean, there you've said that they're catering, so they're not.
YouTube's content recommendation system has given many bedroom pop artists their big break. A great example of this is Boy Pablo's Every Time music video. The video features the band playing their unplugged instruments in the blinding sunlight, because why wouldn't they be? Needless to say, the production value of this video was very amateur, but just like Clara's Pretty Girl music video, YouTube algorithms decided to take this random music video with zero budget from a virtually unheard of group and promote it very heavily.
I mean, how is that in the hands of the people? It's in the hands of the algorithm. The internet has provided more people with the opportunity to cultivate a following through DIY music, and a lot, though not all, of the artists that you've mentioned are on independent record labels. I sort of agree with some of the stuff that you're saying. I think the main issue is that you're not really describing the stuff very precisely. How are you defining DIY? How are you defining grassroots? How are you defining the music industry? I mean, it's not very clear. How are you defining bedroom pop?
The YouTube algorithm and others like it are influential, albeit unpredictable forces for the promotion of artists like Boy Pablo and bedroom pop genre as a whole.
I feel like I'm watching like propaganda from like a sci-fi movie, like the algorithm. Who knows what it will select? The algorithm will be good for me.
The algorithm's influence on these artists are clear.
Thank you, algorithm. I love you, algorithm.
Nowadays, as long as you have internet access and a device that can connect to the internet, you can make music completely on your own and distribute it to the masses. In an industry where everything is so heavily processed, the authenticity and personality of bedroom pop is exactly what we need.
Yeah, it's good editing, great motion graphics, like unbelievably good motion graphics on this video. I just think for an informative video, it comes off a little naive. Like, bedroom pop is selling you the idea of authenticity, and how authentic, at least by your standards, the various artists that you talk about in the video actually are varies. But you don't seem to notice that, or really talk about it. Your points about the personal freedom one has as an artist in the internet age are very much true, and you know, I really just made this video because of the title. How can you quantify something as nebulous as relatability in music when music is so subjective? And it seems like there are a lot of these video essays out that are just high school presentations with like really nice motion graphics, and sometimes they're more harmless than others, but like, if they're not spreading misinformation, the opinions that they're discussing aren't conveyed with much tact, they aren't concise, it's often very muddy, but they're using big words or dropping in slick phrases or butchering slick phrases to like cover it up. So watch these videos with a discerning eye, you know, because I know you're dying for advice from me.